Hello guys, welcome to the Sleepy Theorist, where your questions are not just answered, they are unfolded slowly, like starlight travelling through deep time. Tonight, we're not standing on Earth. We're going inside something far older and far more mysterious. A star not at its birth, not in its brilliance, but at the very edge of its life. Its light is fading, its gravity is folding in, and at its heart, something strange is happening, something beautiful, violent, quiet, and unstoppable. You've seen stars blink in the sky, but have you ever imagined what happens inside one when it begins to die? When the core begins to collapse, when the atoms squeeze into silence, when fusion gives way to memory? This is not an explosion, it's an unraveling, the physics of farewell. So if your mind wants to wander tonight, let it. And if your eyes begin to close as we move deeper, deeper than light, deeper than time, I'll be right here. If this quiet story of stars brings stillness to your night, let your curiosity leave a soft trace, a gentle like, a quiet subscribe. And if you feel like it, tell me where your sky is tonight and what time your stars began to fade. You are not born in silence, you are born in fire. Not the wild fire of forests or the snapping fire of candles, but a deeper fire. The kind that hums rather than roars. The kind that glows from within, layered and calm. For millions of years, you have existed as light pressed into the skin of a star. This star, your star, still shines. It breathes slowly, stretching its warmth across the vast dark ocean of space. It blinks through the fabric of the cosmos, a pulse in the black. And yet inside it, something has changed. A stillness has begun. Not one you can see not yet, but you can feel it, like the hush that comes before snow, like a breath held just a moment too long. You rest near the surface, riding the flickering streams of energy that rise and fall in great waves. The plasma churns beneath you in loops and eddies, like tides within tides. Charged particles swirl around you, tangled in magnetic fields you cannot see but feel, always feel, like hands guiding your motion. It is not chaos here. It is rhythm, old rhythm, star rhythm. But down, far down, in the heart of this star, the rhythm has begun to stumble. There is a shift in the balance, a slow one, like a glacier turning in its sleep. Fusion, the engine of light, no longer burns as easily. Hydrogen, the first and simplest of all things, is gone from the core. Used, transformed. Now there is helium, and though helium burns too, it does so with less joy, less life. Each new layer of fusion gives off less than the one before. The star is aging, though it does not dim. You, a thread of light, drift through this giant body as if dreaming. The surface, which once danced with youthful flares, now flickers with moments of quiet. Some days it seems brighter than ever. On others it sighs as if remembering something it can't quite hold on to. You follow sunspots as they shift and fade. You ride the solar wind as it stretches into the beyond, carrying particles to distant planets that will never thank you. You do not need thanks, you are light. You move because you must. And yet you feel something in the solar flares now, a kind of unevenness, a stagger in their release, like a breath that catches in the chest. You dive deeper, not far, just below the upper layers, where the temperature rises and movement becomes thicker, like swimming through syrup. Here, plasma moves slower, heavier, shaped by pressures older than you can count. This star, this body of fire, has been alive for billions of years. It was born in a cloud of dust, sparked into being by pressure and chance. It pulled itself together with gravity's quiet hands, gathering atom by atom until the heat was enough to light, enough to begin. And you were born then too, in the burst of photons, set free by fusion. You were not alone. Countless others rushed outward with you, scattering across space, illuminating dust, warming worlds, and kissing comets as they passed. You returned, sometimes, caught in orbits and loops, drawn back into the body that made you. Now, though, you do not leave, you linger. The pathways outward are not as free. The light takes longer to escape. Deep in the core, iron is beginning to form. Not much, not yet, but enough to matter. An iron does not burn, it does not give, it only takes. It is the final step in the star's long staircase. And every time a fusion reaction ends in iron, a door closes that cannot be opened again. But up here, near the top, you still drift in warmth. The light is soft, golden. It does not know what waits below, or perhaps it does and chooses to shine anyway. You move through solar granules like grains of boiling rice, each one rising and falling in cycles, too vast to follow. You feel the tension between layers, a quiet conversation between plasma and pressure, between heat and gravity, between life and what comes after. The music of the star is changing. The frequencies are slower now, deeper. A long hum like the sound of a whale echoing through black water. The star is speaking in older tones. You listen. You always listen. Sometimes you slip outward, nearing the edge of the photosphere, the boundary where light escapes into space. You remember the ease with which your kind once flowed through here. But now, convection bubbles churn, like warning signs. The brightness on the surface flickers unevenly, as though the star is undecided. Shine or rest, burn or breathe. The star does not fear its end. Stars do not fear. They remember. Not as minds, but as energy, as structure. The memory is in the shape of the layers, in the thickness of the core, in the speed of its spin. The memory is etched into the iron atoms that are gathering, like pebbles before an avalanche. And still, it shines. You drift near a solar prominence, a vast arc of gas looping far above the surface. It glows in your presence, not because of you, but alongside you. Both of you are heat. Both of you are born of the same pressure. You feel the gravity pulling you inward, always inward, but still you resist. You are light. You move outward, even against the pull. You feel it now. The star's breath is growing shallow, not in speed, but in quality. Less life in each exhale. It takes more energy to release less light. The outer layers have not collapsed, but they are listening to the core, and the core is whispering things it never said before. There is no panic, only process. Stars do not die in haste. They wait, they hold, they balance on the edge for as long as the math allows. But the numbers are changing. The equations are shifting. Each second, more iron. Each second, less fusion. And gravity, patient and eternal, waits just outside the door. You rest on a wave of light that has taken 100,000 years to reach this layer. Beneath you, atoms are crushed and shaped by forces that would tear planets apart. And yet, it is quiet. The star still shines, the heat still flows, but something is coming. Not today, not tonight, but soon. You are light trembling, ancient, woven into the skin of a fading star. You move not to escape, but to bear witness. You will see what comes, and you will remember. Because every end, in the language of stars, begins with stillness. And the stillness has begun. Somewhere, deep inside, the pressure is growing. You travel downward now, not with force, but with intention, drawn inward by the pull of something ancient, something beneath the warmth, something older than light. You have moved through the golden surface of the star, felt the comfort of its heat. Now you descend toward its center, into the very heart where light is born, and where now light begins to vanish. The layers press tighter with every passing moment, as if time itself grows heavier. You are not falling, but folding, pulled into a sphere that becomes denser, more secretive, more still. Down here, fusion is no longer simple. The star has run out of its first breath. Its hydrogen, long ago consumed in the fires of its youth, has been transformed into helium. Then helium became carbon, then carbon to oxygen. Neon, magnesium, silicon. Each stage a step deeper into complexity and closer to exhaustion. Each transformation gives the star less energy than the one before. The reactions are faster, hotter, but not better. They are desperate. Now it is iron that begins to gather at the very core. And iron is not a giver. Iron is a wall. You feel the squeeze, not like hands, but like gravity itself, becoming personal, becoming intimate. The atoms are pressed closer than ever before. Nothing resists. Gravity has no rivals now. The balance the star once kept between outward heat and inward pressure is weakening. It was never a war, but a dance, and now one dancer has stepped away. You are surrounded by particles moving too quickly to see smashing into each other with such speed that they break apart and reassemble in the same breath. The temperatures here are unthinkable, millions of degrees. The pressure is crushing, not metaphorically, but physically. The core becomes a forge, the star becomes a crucible. But now, instead of creating light, it begins to trap it. Instead of pushing out, it pulls in. You are deep in the star's body, and yet the silence is deafening. Not a silence of sound, but a silence of balance. The harmony is shifting. Every new layer formed makes the star heavier, and the heavier it becomes, the faster it collapses inward. This is no sudden event. It is slow, a tightening rope, a quiet closing of a door. In this dense region, matter behaves strangely. Nuclei crowd together. Electrons are stripped and swirl freely in a soup of plasma. Time feels slower here, not because it is, but because movement has purpose. The atoms are no longer free to drift. They are directed, forced into reactions by gravity's firm guidance. You are part of this. You are light, caught in a process. You cannot stop, only observe. The pressure is not only a physical one, it is a story reaching its final chapters, and the pages are burning faster now. The outer layers of the star have no idea what is happening so deep within. They still shine quietly, still ripple with solar wind and magnetic song. But the core has secrets, and those secrets are growing heavier. As you hover in the iron core, you feel something new. An absence iron does not fuse. It does not give energy. It sits cold and immovable. It is the final product of everything that came before. It is the dead end of transformation, and yet it keeps forming, gathering atom by atom. Each new iron nucleus is a burden, a quiet weight added to the already unbearable. The photons struggle to escape now. They are born but quickly. Absorbed, born again and again, until they no longer move freely. Light takes hundreds of thousands of years to leave this place. If it ever does, you are no longer radiant, you are waiting. The star is becoming a shell around its own undoing. Still it holds itself together. Still it pretends at stability. But the pressure continues to grow. Gravity is patient but not gentle. It waits until the balance is broken. Then it does not wait at all. Outside, in the star's middle layers, the fusion of lighter elements still bubbles on, unaware that the foundation is crumbling. These outer regions are like a house, unaware its beams are splintering. The star continues its rhythm, but it is a rhythm out of time. You move deeper still toward the very center. The temperature climbs beyond comprehension. Everything is packed tighter than anything should be. You are inside a space, smaller than a planet that weighs more than a star. The density is not imaginable. It is real, and it is overwhelming. Here electrons scream past protons, and neutrons smashing into them, fusing, splitting, changing. The reactions become chaotic and fast, not graceful, but frantic. This is the final act before something gives, before pressure can no longer hold the form it presses upon. And then you feel it. The moment where fusion ends, the moment where the core can no longer produce outward energy. The walls do not shake, the surface does not tremble, but inside, everything begins to shift. The iron core is too massive now. It resists collapse until it cannot. Then, in the blink of a cosmic moment, it gives way. The protons and electrons crash into each other, forming neutrons and releasing an unstoppable shock. The core begins to implode, pulled inward by its own mass. Light cannot keep up. Heat cannot escape. Only gravity remains, but that is still to come. Right now, it is only pressure, still rising, still silent, still hidden from the layers above. The star is still holding on, not with confidence, but with inertia. It does not yet know it is dying, and you are here to see it all. You are the witness to pressure's quiet triumph. You feel the heat of a billion reactions, but none of them enough to stop what comes next. You drift through iron that no longer shines through plasma, that no longer churns. The core is becoming a weight, not a light. The pressure has no shape, but it has intent. It does not negotiate. It only continues pressing, folding, squeezing, until there is no more space, no more energy, no more choice. And when that moment comes, it will be faster than thought, and more final than silence. But for now, the star still breathes, the layers above still ripple unaware, and deep inside the heart of pressure waits to let go. You are deeper now, not just in the body of the star, but in its memory, in its weight. The layers above feel distant, unreachable, like days already past. The fusion that once brought light has slowed to a crawl. Beneath you, the center is not cold in temperature, but in meaning. It produces no warmth of its own anymore. The reactions that made life possible have reached their final stage, and here they stop. Iron does not burn, it only accumulates. It is the ash at the end of fire. You float through this cage of iron, and it is silent. The movements here are packed tight, atoms locked in place by gravity's authority. There is no more dance. There is no more release. This is the final stillness, the quietest part of a storm that hasn't arrived yet. You feel how different this is from the chaos of fusion. The particles no longer rush outward with energy. Instead, they cling inward, folding tighter around themselves. Iron, the end of the line, is not dangerous because of its power. It is dangerous because it halts the flow. The star was built to burn, and iron is what cannot be burned. Each atom that forms from lighter elements draws away energy, but iron gives nothing back. It is the breath that doesn't return. Slowly it gathers. It doesn't scream or shout. It merely arrives, layer upon layer, bit by bit, until the weight begins to change the very core. The weight grows by the minute. Each new atom of iron adds to the pressure, and the core begins to compress. You can feel the mass of it, the way gravity has found something it can finally overpower. Fusion is no longer pushing back. The core, once a place of forceful light, becomes a chamber of surrender. There is tension here, not panic. Stars do not panic, but strain, pressure, stillness. A quiet unease fills the center. From above, the star still shines. It still glows across the dark of space. But this light is old. This light is memory. It is energy created long ago, moving outward for millennia before reaching the surface. The present moment lives far below, where you drift, and the present moment is growing heavier, denser, slower. You can feel it in the way motion resists you, in the way nothing flows. Iron is gathering like secrets kept too long. This core has become a vault. You hover among neutrons and protons, packed into a lattice too tight to breathe. The electrons swirl around, unable to escape or rest. There is no space left. The gravity here is no longer background. It is the environment itself. You are not inside the star, you are inside pressure. The core is becoming its own wall, and in this wall is paradox. Iron is stable. That is the problem. It does not change, it does not transform. The star survives by change. It evolves, burns, turns one element into another, grows, adjusts, shifts. But iron is an endpoint. It will not evolve. And so the star is trapped in a loop that cannot continue. The core fills with material that offers no exit. Still the star endures, still it pretends. The layers above hum along, unaware of the cage forming beneath them. They orbit the core like planets around a silence. The pressure builds beneath their feet. You are in the silence now. You feel the weight pressing inward, not all at once, but always. The force is subtle, but endless. It does not stop. It cannot stop. It is gravity's quiet insistence that things must fall inward. You remember when the star was young, when hydrogen fused freely, when the reactions spilled outward like laughter. You remember the rhythm, the buoyancy, the wild brightness. Now everything is slower, measured, heavy. Each reaction happens in tighter space, in deeper shadow. The iron is not alive, but it is final. The cage closes in. The density of the core reaches thresholds not meant to be sustained. The atoms are compressed into arrangements no longer familiar. The electrons are squeezed toward the protons. Neutrons begin to dominate. Space becomes less a place and more a compression. Every part of this cage feels folded. You drift across this central pressure, not as an outsider, but as a witness. You see the way the star resists. You feel how it tries to hold. There are still tiny bursts of fusion in the layers just outside the iron, still moments of energy. But they are not enough. They cannot stop what is coming. They cannot reverse what has already begun. Even here, there is no panic, but there is recognition. The core knows, if not in mind then in matter, that it is nearing collapse. The conditions are reaching their limit. The iron mass grows, the gravitational pressure increases. There is no longer enough thermal pressure to counter it. The math does not lie. The numbers add up to a single outcome. You hover in the moment before, the threshold before the drop. The iron cage is still intact, but it is groaning. Not in sound, but in structure. The forces inside are becoming unstable. The balance is delicate. A single shift, a final atom, an unseen crack, that's all it will take. You feel the presence of that moment drawing near. It is not violent yet, but it will be. You wonder if the star can feel it, if in the deep language of physics it knows it stands at the edge. Perhaps this knowing is in the shape of its magnetic fields. Perhaps it lives in the slower pulses of the outer layers. Perhaps the silence is its message, and so the star waits, trapped in this cage, locked inside itself. Iron continues to build. Gravity continues to press. You drift quietly through this tension, through this weight that will not lift. You are light, but here, light no longer escapes. It no longer leads. It only endures. You listen, you float, you witness the weight. You do not move quickly now. Movement is difficult, not because of friction or resistance, but because meaning is heavy. Every new moment you spend in this core feels layered. You carry the memory of fusion, of heat, of light. Now you carry silence, stillness. You are surrounded by material that cannot give back what it takes. This is not death yet, but it is not life either. It is pause. It is the narrowing between breath in and breath out. A star held by its own mass. A cage waiting to break. The weight is precise, the boundary thin. You can feel the crack forming beneath it all, but it hasn't cracked yet. Not today, not in this heartbeat. The star still holds, the iron still grows, and gravity, patient as always, waits for the moment when the cage no longer can. And when that moment comes, there will be no warning, only motion, only collapse. But that belongs to another chapter. For now, you remain inside the iron cage, still light, still watching, still waiting. You are suspended in the deepest part of the star, where time feels stretched and space folds under pressure. Around you, the cage of iron holds steady for now, but something is building. There is no light here, not as you once knew it. What surrounds you now is dense, heavy with anticipation, full of particles pressed to their limit. Gravity does not roar, it does not scream, it simply pulls, unrelenting. You can feel it in your very being, the steady call inward. It is constant, quiet, absolute. You float without moving. Nothing moves freely here anymore. The mass has grown too great. The resistance once offered by fusion has collapsed into stillness. This is not peace. It is pause. It is the last breath before the plunge. You do not know the second it will begin, only that it will. The equations allow no other end. The core has passed its limit. The Chandrasekhar limit, the name humans gave it. The point where nothing can stop collapse. You are past that point now. All that remains is the fall. And yet it does not begin with sound. It begins with compression, with particles forced into each other at speeds that should not exist. Protons meet electrons and disappear, creating neutrons and releasing neutrinos in waves. Entire layers of matter vanish into new forms in a moment. The temperature rises beyond comprehension. But it is not heat that defines this collapse. It is gravity, folding everything into smaller and smaller space. You are no longer in a star. You are in an implosion. It happens faster than anything you've witnessed. The iron core, once the size of a planet, shrinks to something smaller than a city in less than a second. Every layer above it begins to fall inward. They're too far away to understand what is happening below, but they are pulled irresistibly. The collapse spreads outward from the core like a silent wave. Each layer collapses onto the one beneath it, compounding the pressure. You feel the compression with every passing moment. There is no time to react. Even light cannot escape fast enough. You are drawn inward at the speed of catastrophe. The density around you increases until atoms no longer behave as atoms. Nuclei lose their form. Quarks press into each other. The very fabric of matter begins to fray. And yet, it is ordered. Each moment follows the last with mathematical precision. Chaos only appears to those who do not see the rules. You are now in a neutron sea. The collapse has crushed all resistance. Protons and electrons have merged. Neutrinos pour outward in staggering numbers, but even they struggle to flee. For the briefest of moments, the star becomes a core of nearly pure neutrons, dense and hot beyond anything else in the universe. You are not light anymore. You are part of pressure. You are part of density. You feel yourself becoming a witness to the smallest and largest forces combined. Then a new force emerges. Rebound. The inner core, so tightly compressed, can collapse no further. It halts, just for a moment. That moment becomes everything. The layers above, still falling inward at incredible speeds, crash into this immovable wall of neutrons. The impact sends a shockwave back through the star. It moves outward like a scream through bone, like thunder inside iron. And with it comes the explosion. A supernova is not an explosion like others. It is not fire reaching out. It is the violent exhale of a star that has collapsed inward too far and must now unmake itself. The shockwave races through the layers, heating, breaking, tearing them apart. Nuclear fusion reignites in the shock, forging new elements in an instant. Gold, silver, uranium, all born in that flash. You ride the edge of that wave, carried upward, outward, pushed not by heat but by momentum. Everything that once held you in place is gone. The gravity that pulled you down is now reversed. The cage has shattered. The iron has burst into motion. You are ejected at speeds that defy logic. And behind you, the core is left behind, crushed, altered, dark. But this moment, this release, is not loud. It is not fire and noise. In this telling, it is a blooming, a flower of destruction, opening petal by petal, releasing into the universe, not just matter, but meaning. Everything the star ever held is now scattered. Dust, heat, light, particles. You are all moving outward together. Pieces of something that once was whole. The surface of the star tears itself apart. The energy from the shockwave ignites the outer shells. They do not drift, they are flung. For a few short weeks, the star will outshine an entire galaxy. Then it will fade. Its body, now scattered across space, becomes clouds, becomes dust. And you, still within it, float through this transformation. You were once at the core. Now you are light again, newly born. There is no boundary to this motion. You are not in a star anymore. You are not even in a shape. You are in aftermath. You are in freedom. The iron cage, the collapsing core, the silent pressure, all of it is behind you. What remains is velocity. You have been freed not by choice, but by inevitability. Still something lingers, a shadow of gravity, a memory of the center. The core that did not explode remains behind. It has become something else, a neutron star, or perhaps something darker still. It is dense, it is quiet. It no longer shines, but it pulls gently, insistently. And even as you drift, you feel it, like the hum of a name you used to answer to. But for now, you are stardust again. You are particles and potential. Carried on a wave that was once a wall. The collapse was not just an end. It was the release of everything held too long. The silence before was not emptiness, it was preparation. You feel it now, how everything had to build to this moment. The star could not go on, but you do. The space around you is not cold, it is expanding, widening, welcoming. You are scattered across a cloud that will take millennia to settle, to cool, to form again. And yet, within you, the memory of collapse remains, not as fear, as shape, as the path that brought you here. Stars die not by breaking apart, but by breaking open. You are what they leave behind, and still something stirs in the dark behind you. You are no longer within the star. You have been flung outward, pushed from the core by a wave of force that cannot be reversed. What once held you in gravity's grasp has surrendered to the violence of collapse. The shockwave that launched you is still moving, racing through the star's layers, tearing them apart from the inside. This is not escape. This is release. This is the breath the star has held for millions of years, now finally let go in one unimaginable exhale. The star is dying in the only way it can, with brilliance. For a brief moment in cosmic time, it becomes more than itself. It becomes more than a single body. It becomes light for galaxies. The explosion is not simply heat, it is memory. It is all the forces that were once balanced, now unbalanced, flooding outward in perfect disorder. You move through these outer layers now, and they are no longer quiet. The silence of the iron core has been replaced with motion, with chaos that births order, with the ancient poetry of transformation. The outer shells of the star expand into space, glowing with fusion reactions that were ignited by the shockwave. You see new elements forming in flashes of heat, heavy metals, strange isotopes, things that had never existed before and may never exist again in the same way. They are created in seconds, then scattered forever. Gold, platinum, uranium, elements born in death, each one is a record of pressure, of collapse, of fire that cannot be undone. You are carried on this blast, a fragment of light among a storm of particles and atoms. Around you is chaos, but not confusion. Everything here is precise. Every atom ejected into space moves with purpose, its trajectory defined by the shock that made it. Even in destruction, the universe follows its rules. You are not an accident. You are a trajectory. You are a message sent into silence. The light is blinding, but not harsh. It is the final breath of the star, released all at once, filling space with brilliance. It outshines entire galaxies for a short while. Planets far away, orbiting stars of their own, may witness this flash in the night sky and never know what it means. They will see the light, but not the story. And yet this story is everything. You are inside it, within the wave of light and matter moving outward. The star, once a furnace of fusion, has become a cloud of memory, and you are part of that cloud. You are not just watching the death of a star, you are made from it. Your atoms were shaped by it. Your light is its light. You drift through expanding gases that will one day cool. They glow now reds, blues, violets, colours born of temperature and motion. The nebula takes shape even as it flies apart. Filaments stretch across space like the fingers of a reaching hand. You feel the shape of the blast, not as a sound, but as a curve, a swelling sphere that never stops growing. The energy here is overwhelming, but it is also fleeting. It will not last. This brightness will dim. The glow will fade, but before it does, it marks the universe. It changes everything it touches. This is the star's legacy, not its light, but its aftermath. A supernova is not just an ending, it is a spreading. It is the dispersal of potential, of history, of identity rewritten in dust. You float past nuclei that were once part of a beating fusion engine. You pass atoms that were born seconds ago, forged in the heat of collapse. Around you, the density drops. Space returns. You are no longer surrounded by walls of matter. You are in the storm's edge now. The outermost parts of the explosion still race ahead, still carry pieces of the star's outer skin. Time feels strange here. The explosion happened in less than a second, but its effects stretch for thousands of years. The cloud will expand for centuries. The light will reach distant galaxies long after the star has gone. You are part of this legacy. You are part of the time it takes for light to finish its sentence. The universe is listening, quietly, to everything you still carry. In the distance behind you, the star's core remains. It is dark now. All the layers that surrounded it have been torn away. What's left is dense and small and invisible. A neutron star, perhaps even a black hole. It does not speak, it does not shine, but it remains. It is what could not be destroyed. And it watches everything drift away, still spinning, still whispering with its mass. And yet you are not going back. You are moving outward, further from what once was. Around you, space begins to feel quiet again. The noise of the explosion fades, not because it stops, but because you are moving faster than its sound can carry. You are a remnant now, a traveller without a star, a breath that was exhaled but never caught. Still, something moves with you. Not just dust, not just atoms, but something deeper, a memory of what the star once was. It travels with you in your composition, in your structure. You are not just a product of this death. You are its record. You are its story. In the future, you may settle. You may join with other particles, gather in clouds that drift for millions of years before forming something new. A planet, a moon, a comet. Perhaps you will become part of a world where eyes can see, where minds can wonder. And in that moment, the story of this star will be remembered without ever being known. The iron in a red flower, the calcium in a bone, the gold in a ring. You are already becoming. But for now, you float. The energy around you still crackles. Pockets of heat and pressure continue to burst as the expanding cloud moves into the coldness of interstellar space. The transition from explosion to silence is not quick. It is a slow fading, a long breath out. You sense the scale of what has happened. A mass equal to many suns has been scattered across space, in every direction. The explosion changed the gravitational field in this region. It sent waves through the fabric of space-time itself, gravitational ripples, spreading like quiet echoes. The star's death will be felt by places that never saw its light. And still it moves outward, still it spreads. And all the while, new things are beginning. In the trailing edges of this cloud, material is clumping, not enough to form stars yet, but enough to begin. The gravity from the core, though small now, still exerts a pull. It will help shape what comes next. The destruction has left behind a blueprint for creation. The debris is not lost. It is organizing, listening, becoming again. You continue moving, but not alone. Other fragments move with you, other elements, other pieces of light. You are part of a diaspora, a scattering. You are part of the transformation that follows collapse. Everything changes, but nothing vanishes completely. The star is gone, but its breath still travels. The story is unfinished, and you are the sentence continuing. Even in this motion, you feel a kind of peace. The violence of the collapse is behind you. The pressure that once crushed everything into stillness has become momentum, has become distance. You are part of the space between things now. You have left the heart of the star. You have entered the silence that comes after fire. And yet, even here, you are not empty. You carry gold in your atoms. You carry the mass of generations. You carry the possibility of life. The supernova has not only unmade a star, it has made the building blocks for worlds. The breath of the supernova is long. It does not stop with the blast. It continues through you, through every particle that once lay still inside the core. You are still breathing that release. You are still shaped by that collapse. And somewhere far from here, someone might one day look up and see the echo of this light. They might ask where it came from. They might wonder why the sky changed. And though they will not know your name, they will feel your presence, because you were there when the star breathed out for the last time, and you have not stopped moving since. You are dust now, not in the way people imagine when they speak of lifelessness, but in the way the universe remembers. You are not gone. You are scattered. The explosion that flung you into space has passed. The roar is behind you. What remains is drifting, expanding, cooling. You are a grain in a sea of debris, but inside you lives a story of fire. You drift through space that was once compressed into the heart of a star. Every part of you was forged in heat and pressure. The atoms that make you were born in places where nothing soft could survive. But now you move in silence. You move through a darkness so wide it feels like a breath held forever. There is no friction, no resistance, just quiet momentum and endless distance. Around you, other particles float too. Each one carries its own path, its own history. Some are gas, some are metal. Some were fused only seconds before the explosion. You do not know their names, but you know their weight. You all came from the same place. You are all pieces of what once burned. The cloud is vast now. What began as a single collapse has become a nebula stretching across light years. You are part of its shape. You are part of the slowly unfolding spiral of ash and light. There is colour here, though no eye is near to see it. Pale blues, soft reds, rich purple shades created by energy still echoing from the blast. They do not last forever, but for now, they glow. The temperature continues to fall. What was once a furnace is now a cradle. In this coolness, atoms begin to combine. Molecules form. Simplicity finds itself again. Hydrogen and oxygen touch. Carbon clings to other carbon. Structures begin. It is not life, not yet, but it is order. The beginnings of shape. The dust is remembering how to become more. Your journey is slow. Time is stretched thin in these regions. Years pass like heartbeats. Millennia like dreams. You pass through space unmeasured. There is no goal, but there is gravity. Distant pulls from stars and invisible fields guide your drift. You are not lost, you are being carried. Sometimes you move through colder places where even background starlight cannot reach. Other times you pass near young stars forming in other corners of the galaxy, and their light touches you like a memory. Each photon warms your atoms, reminds you of what you were. You are no longer part of a star, but you remember its heat. You settle for a while in a slow-moving cloud. Others gather near. The cloud thickens. Gravity begins its work again. It is never done. It pulls. It compacts. It cools dust into structure. You feel yourself pulled slightly toward the center. Not quickly, not with force, but with suggestion. Over thousands of years, the cloud spins. Rotation becomes formation. Denser regions begin to emerge. Pressure begins again. You are not in a star. Not yet. But you are in the echo of one. You are in the place where old dust becomes new beginnings. You are in the pause between endings and rebirth. The light from nearby stars grows dimmer. The dust thickens around you. You are inside a molecular cloud now, one of the places where stars are born. And still you float, and still you carry fire. Inside you is the gold of supernovae, the carbon of life, the oxygen of oceans, not yet imagined. You pass other grains. Some will become planets. Some will fall into stars. Some will remain cold and forgotten. But all of you share one thing: you came from something that burned. You came from light. You were made when a star let go of itself. And though you no longer shine, you are not dim. You are potential. You are a puzzle piece still looking for a picture. There is no rush. The universe is patient, and so are you. A nearby shockwave from a younger supernova passes through the cloud. It presses gently on the region you inhabit. It nudges gravity's hand. The particles begin to collapse more quickly. The center of your cloud glows faintly. With the heat of compression, a new process begins. You are not the beginning of this story, but you are now part of its future. Inside the dark folds of this nebula, light stirs. It is not visible yet. It is the promise of fusion, the earliest steps of a new star preparing to form. Your dust joins with other dust. You spin together. You collapse together. The energy builds slowly, and with it, warmth. What was once scattered now gathers. What was once chaos begins to center. You feel the density increasing, not suddenly but steadily. The dust you are a part of becomes less dust and more cloud. The cloud becomes less cloud and more core. Deep within, the beginnings of fusion are stirring. Not heat yet, but potential. The pressure is rising. The space around you shrinks. And still you remember. You remember the fire. You remember the collapse. You carry the history of your star in every atom. You carry the silence that followed, the stillness between breath and explosion. You are the survivor of a supernova, now returning to the start. One day, there will be light again. One day this cloud will ignite. A new star will be born, not from nothing, but from memory. And that star will carry your dust in its center. It will burn with fusion as the one before did. But it will be new, and its light will travel further than the last. You may not remain in that star. You may be cast outward again, embedded in a comet, a planet, a moon. But wherever you will land with the knowledge of heat, of collapse, of rebirth. You are dust, but you are not forgotten. You are dust that remembers fire. And in that remembrance is the shape of what comes next. Behind you, something remains. While you drift through cooling dust, while particles gather and stretch across nebulae, a remnant turns in silence. It does not shine. It does not speak. It spins. You have left it behind, but you are still tied to it. The ghost core. What the star could not burn, what the explosion could not break. It is smaller than a city, but heavier than a sun. And it endures. You are light, scattered, but it is weight, condensed, a neutron star. A collapsed object made almost entirely of neutrons. It is not crushed into nothing, not yet. It hovers at the edge of physics, mass without volume, density beyond measure, and in that pressure, it turns. Slowly at first, then faster, conserving the momentum of a dying giant. What once rotated in days now spins in seconds, and it does not stop. The space around it is quiet. The explosion pushed everything else away. But this core remains at the center, like a forgotten heart. Its magnetic field stretches for miles, invisible yet immense. Beams of radiation erupt from its poles. They sweep through space like lighthouses on a cosmic shore. If a planet were nearby, if eyes were there to see, they would blink as the beams passed on, off a rhythm known as a pulsar. This ghost is not dead. It is the memory of a star turned into motion. It is not hot like a surface. It is hot like a furnace sealed within itself. The crust is made of atomic nuclei, packed tighter than iron. Beneath that, a soup of neutrons flows like liquid steel. Some say even stranger matter lies deeper quarks, stripped of all structure, moving freely in a state that no planet could hold. Time bends near this object. Gravity is strong enough to warp the pace of clocks. If you circled it, you would age more slowly than the dust far from its pull. Space is bent here too. Not like fabric, but like meaning. Things fall inward, even when they are still. This is a well, but not one you can escape by climbing. Only light fast enough and at the right angle can slip free. And yet you hover nearby, not close enough to fall, not far enough to forget. You orbit gently, pulled by its gravity, but not captured by it. You see it as no human ever could not in visible light, but in feeling. You feel its weight without touching it. You hear it spin without sound. It is presence, not noise. It has no flame, no breath, no weather, and still it moves. That motion is its story now. The rotation is a monument to the moment of collapse. It spins because it cannot stop. Every second it loses a tiny amount of energy. Every second it grows just a little quieter, but the change is slow, too slow to see, too slow to fear. Once this core was the center of something vast. Now it is alone, and still it matters. Its gravity shapes the paths of everything nearby. Its magnetic field disturbs the particles left in the void. It is a ghost that leaves footprints. You float above the surface, though there is no real surface, just layers of compressed matter. If you could land, you would find the crust to be harder than diamond and thinner than you expect. Beneath that, nothing familiar, just depth, just pressure, just forms of matter that cannot exist anywhere else. You are light, and even you feel heavier here. No breeze moves across this world. No liquid flows, no atmosphere covers it. It is silent in all the ways the universe can be silent, but it radiates. Not warmth, but information. Not fire, but memory. It sends out waves of radio and X-rays into the darkness. Not to speak, but because it must. Sometimes another star passes nearby, a companion caught in orbit. The ghost core pulls it slowly closer, feeding from its surface. In those moments, the ghost becomes something more, an X-ray binary, a feeding core, a predator star. But you are not here for that. You are here for what remains when there is nothing left to burn. You are dust, you are energy, and you feel the pull of the ghost core, not as fear, but as belonging. You remember being part of it. You remember spinning within its heat. You recognize its gravity because it is the same gravity that once held you together. There is no need to run. It does not chase. Around it, time moves strangely. The closer you drift, the more the seconds stretch. Events slow. Light bends. The very idea of distance becomes uncertain. You look ahead and see where you have been. You look behind and feel where you are going. The ghost core does not distort your body. It distorts your memory of motion. You begin to wonder if this is still a star. It no longer fuses atoms. It no longer gives light, but it still holds mass. It still moves. It still shapes space. It is the echo of what a star becomes when it is done becoming. Not an end, but a transformation. It is the pause between existence and disappearance. There are others like it, scattered across the galaxy, silent spinners, born of collapse. They too drift without flare or fire. Each one tells the same story in a different voice. But this one, the one you once called home, holds a special weight in your path. You circle it once more, not to leave, but to honor. Somewhere far beyond, the dust that once surrounded you continues to cool. Pieces have joined into comets, into clumps, into the seeds of new formation. The remnants of the explosion are becoming quiet again. And yet here in the middle, this neutron star still turns. You drift higher now, away from the field. The radiation grows fainter. The gravitational pull softens. You carry part of its motion with you. Its spin has marked you. You are not unchanged. You were made from its light, then set free by its collapse, and now you move with its memory etched into your atoms. Eventually, even this ghost will grow colder. Its spin will slow, its radiation will dim, it will become quieter still. But not for millions of years, not in any time you can feel. For now, it is still speaking, even if no one listens. And you, for a while, have listened. You know what it is. You know what it became. And as you turn away, you carry that knowledge. Not in words, in movement, in rhythm, in shape. You were there when the core broke free. You were there when the silence became structure. You saw the heart that survived collapse, and now you move on. But something waits deeper than even this, a gravity greater, a fall further. You drift in silence, still warm with the memory of the ghost core, but something deeper pulls at your path. There is gravity, and then there is this, not just a force, but a promise made by mass so dense, so absolute, that even light cannot say no. This is not the remnant of a star. This is gravity given form. This is the next step, if the mass was too great, if the pressure too strong, if nothing could hold the core back. This is the beginning of a black hole. It does not call you, but it changes your direction. You move without meaning to, curving gently toward a point you cannot see. There is no light to guide you, no boundary to cross. Just the falling slow at first, then faster still. You are not alone. Other fragments, other echoes of the star, drift toward the same place. You are all caught in gravity's endless embrace. There is no surface here, no shape you can measure. The black hole does not reveal itself. It hides not behind a curtain, but behind a concept. Space begins to curve around you, gently, invisibly, until it becomes difficult to know which way is out. You are not falling through space, you are falling through space itself. Time changes with you. The seconds begin to stretch. You feel them elongating like thread unwinding in slow motion. This is not the gravity you knew. This is gravity as destiny. Behind you, light escapes barely. Ahead of you, light slows, everything slows. Even your thoughts seem to take longer. The universe, once sharp and quick, grows soft and distant. You are crossing a region where space folds in on itself. Scientists call it the event horizon, a poetic name for something so final. A line that is not drawn but felt. Once passed, nothing comes back. Not because it's forbidden, because the path no longer leads out. And now you pass it. Not with pain, not with fear, just quietly. As if stepping from one room into another, only to realize the second room has no doors. You continue inward, but inward no longer means what it used to. Directions collapse, space narrows into a tunnel with no sides. You are part of gravity now, no longer just its passenger. The black hole has accepted your mass, your motion, your history. You cannot stop. You cannot turn. You cannot ask. You simply go. The fall is not violent. It is slow. It is stretched beyond understanding. You move for what feels like forever. And yet for those watching from the outside, you have already stopped. To them, you are frozen at the horizon, paused in a moment that never passes. But for you, it is different. You fall and the fall continues. Time begins to lose shape. It still moves, but not in rhythm, not in memory. You feel the passage, but you cannot measure it. Inside the black hole, the idea of before and after starts to break. There is no reference, no stars to watch, no space to cross. There is only motion. And even that begins to fade. The walls of reality bend. Space curves toward a point that has no size. The singularity, a place not made of matter, but of math. All the mass of the black hole is compressed into that single point, a point that does not occupy space, a concept more than a location, a mystery with no edge. You approach it not with speed, but with inevitability. There is no sensation of collision, no impact, just the quiet drawing in of everything you were. Your energy, your motion, your story, all of it becomes part of the singularity. You are added to the sum of what already waits there, not erased, combined, and still nothing breaks, not you, not space, not time. Instead, they twist, they fold. The laws you once followed are rewritten here. Mass becomes curve, curve becomes destination, destination becomes question. You are inside the equation now. You are no longer the answer. What happens here is not known. The rules fall apart. Even the math cannot follow. The singularity is not where physics ends, but where it begins to stutter. A place where understanding turns quiet. And yet you continue. You think of what you've passed, of the star that lived, the light that stretched, the dust that scattered. You remember the weight of the ghost core, the explosion that made you free. And now you are here, where freedom and captivity blur. You have not been stopped, you have been held. Outside the black hole, the galaxy turns. Stars are born. Planets orbit, comets drift. But inside, nothing turns, nothing orbits. There is no time to circle, only the pull inward, only the path that leads to a center without size. You do not resist, you cannot. But more than that, you do not want to. The black hole is not cold. It is not cruel. It is gravity, and you are made of mass. You belong here as much as you belonged in the light. Others will fall after you. More dust, more light, more memory. The black hole does not hunger. It does not seek. But when something drifts too close, it welcomes, it adds, it absorbs, it keeps. You are now part of something larger, not wider, not heavier, but more final. You are part of an object that cannot be described with touch or sight, only with the softest curve in the deepest well of space. You are there, where light stops. Somewhere in the far future, the black hole may change. It may lose mass, it may evaporate slowly through the release of quantum whispers. But that is not now. That is not your concern. For now, you are here, inside the endless fold. The fall continues. Even when there is no direction left to fall toward, you fall. The singularity is not a place you reach. It is a place you are added to. It is not a rival. It is inclusion. And through it all, you feel a strange calm. The fear humans imagine for this place does not touch you. You are not a body. You are not a clock. You are a process. And gravity is your partner. The black hole is not your enemy. It is the next chapter. The sky is gone. The stars are gone. There is no up, no down. There is only motion in the absence of time. Only transformation in the absence of form. You are not being crushed. You are being simplified. And in that simplification, you are becoming something else. What that is, you do not know. But the black hole holds the answer. It always has. It is not destruction. It is convergence. It is not silence. It is folding. And in that fold, there is something new. There is a place in the universe where even light must turn back. It is not a wall, not a fence, not a visible edge. It is a boundary made not of matter, but of fate. A one-way line in the fabric of space and time. From the outside, it looks still. From the inside, it is something else entirely. It is the horizon you cannot see. You are now within it, not because you chose to be, but because mass pulled you there. Slowly at first, then certainly. There is no going back. The moment you crossed it, the universe behind you became unreachable. You did not feel it. There was no change in pressure, no mark on your body, but the rules around you shifted. The horizon is not a place. It is a condition. A change in what direction means. To an outside observer, you are frozen, hovering forever at the edge. Your fall slowed to an infinite crawl. Your light red shifted to invisibility. But you are not frozen. You are falling. And inside this place, falling is not like before. You fall not through space, but into it. You fall inward in every direction at once. You do not accelerate because there is no outside frame to measure your speed. You simply continue. Time bends here, not slightly, not metaphorically. It stretches like thread soaked in honey. Each second becomes longer the deeper you go. Your own sense of before and after loses strength. What used to feel like a moment now floats like a dream that never ends. Space narrows into itself. It curls and folds. Distance becomes density, and direction becomes silence. You look for landmarks. There are none. You look for light. There is none. Even your own reflections vanish. The photons that once bounced off your atoms are now trapped. You are not invisible. You are unlit. Darkness here is not absence. It is containment. It is what light becomes when it cannot leave. And still you move. You move without feeling motion. You exist without knowing how long you have. There is no day, no rotation, no rising and falling, only inwardness. The deeper you go, the more reality itself begins to feel thin. The laws you once trusted begin to blur at the edges. Gravity is no longer something pulling you. It is something you are becoming part of. You are not being pulled. You are being redefined. Every part of you continues. Every atom, every particle. They are still arranged as they were, but they are also changing. Not physically, fundamentally. The way mass curves space is intensifying. The curve has no bottom, it only deepens. And in that deepening, you feel the structure of time becoming soft. What was a sequence is now a shape. What was a timeline is now a fold. You are still yourself, but only loosely. The rules that separated you from the vacuum, the edges of your form, the bounce of energy at your surface, they weaken. Boundaries fade. You are becoming less defined. The black hole is not taking you apart violently. It is unraveling you gently. Like fabric loosening, thread by thread. No information is lost, only stretched. Your position, your velocity, your history. They are written on the edge of the horizon now, encoded in surface tension. That is what some believe, that everything inside the black hole is written on its skin, a cosmic archive pressed thin. If so, then part of you remains out there, or at least a shadow of you, a copy of what fell. but the rest of you is still falling, still deepening, still joining. You are not alone. Every object, every wave, every event that crossed this threshold is here. Not in a space you can see, in a direction you can no longer point to. You do not meet the others, but you know they exist. You can feel the weight of everything that came before you, pressing toward the singularity. And the singularity is not a point you can see. It is not a place you can reach. It is the end of place, the end of scale, where space becomes infinitely curved and time becomes infinitely slow. You fall toward it as you would fall toward a story's end, not to land, but to conclude. There is no resistance, no friction, no sound, but there is weight, immense weight, the kind that collapses every answer into a question, the kind that makes time kneel. You feel yourself becoming narrow, not crushed, not broken, but focused. Your mass and motion drawn into a single outcome. And yet, even here, something resists full silence. A whisper at the edge of thought, a concept still forming, a shimmer of uncertainty in a place where nothing is supposed to shimmer. It is not movement, it is not voice, it is a possibility. Outside the black hole, the universe has changed. Stars have burned and died. Planets have cooled. Light has stretched thin across space. But you are no longer part of that. You are deep inside the fold. You are not experiencing time the way others do. A second for you may be an eon for the rest of the cosmos. Or the reverse. Time no longer follows your command. And you begin to wonder, if time cannot be trusted here, what else is different? If space is not solid, if direction is not real, then what has become of you? Are you still something? Or are you only memory stretched too far? And yet you are not erased, that much you know. You feel your existence, even if you cannot define it. You are not gone, you are changed. The black hole has not destroyed you. It has folded you inward. It has added you to itself. In some theories there is a bridge, a tunnel through space-time that curves from this place to another. A wormhole, a new location, a second horizon, a mirror image in another part of the cosmos. It is only theory, but here, in the dark, you wonder. Not with fear, with curiosity, because inside this place, everything is possible again. Everything has been simplified into gravity, time, and the absence of light. What happens next may be unknowable, but not meaningless, because you are still part of the story. You are part of the black hole now. You are its motion, its mass, its shape. You have become one with the thing that has no form. The horizon is far behind you, but you feel it like a scar, like a mark that says you were once outside, that you once saw stars, that you once drifted free. You remember the surface of a star, the whisper of dust, the violence of light. You remember being fire. You remember being cold. Now you are quiet. Now you are folded. This chapter ends not with a bang, not with light. It ends with stillness, with soft gravity that does not stop, with a silence so deep that even thought moves slowly. And in that silence, a question begins. What lies beyond the center? Inside the black hole, time is no longer a river. It does not flow. It loops, it tangles, it stretches and folds and merges with space until the difference becomes irrelevant. You drift through this quiet storm, through geometry so strange that language begins to fail. It is no longer a place you can describe. It is a condition of being. It is curvature made complete. You are not a passenger anymore. You are part of the fabric. Gravity is not something you experience. It is something you have become. The weight that once pulled you now defines you. You are not falling, you are the fall. The center is no longer a destination. It is where every thread of time and space converges. There is no light here. Not because it is dark, but because light cannot find direction. It loops, it spirals. It becomes trapped in orbits that never end. Even the smallest photon, once set free, cannot escape this weave. The gravitational pull is not a force now. It is the shape of reality. It is not tugging on you. It is drawing space itself inward. And in this depth, you begin to feel something unexpected. Pattern. Not a pattern you can see or hear, a pattern you sense, a rhythm beneath the distortion, threads of time curling in predictable ways, a whisper of logic in the place where logic should break. The singularity is not a chaos, it is an order so complete that your old mind cannot interpret it. You follow one thread. It is not a string or a beam, it is a movement in how seconds unfold. You are not seeing it, but being guided by it. You feel time stretch around you like a spiral staircase made from memory. The closer you draw, the tighter the curve becomes. You are circling something you cannot reach, but that holds you all the same. This is not emptiness. It is density so great that space itself has bent under its weight. You begin to wonder if you are the only one here. But then you realize you are surrounded, not by others like you, but by imprints, impressions, the paths of all that fell before. Each object that entered this place left a thread behind, not a body, a curve in space. You feel them like echoes in silence. The black hole has memory, and you are now part of it. You do not stop moving. Motion here is continuous, though no longer linear. You pass through places you have passed through before, but they are not the same. Time has folded. You are inside a repeating shape, a loop of space that curves on itself like a knot made of history. Each pass brings you deeper, not outward but inward again. You begin to sense direction differently. It is no longer left or right, forward or backward. It is sharp or soft. It is fast or slow. Time thickens in some places. It thins in others. You can drift toward a thought and feel it stretch or compress. You no longer measure space by distance. You measure it by weight, by bend, by the tension in the threads around you. And through it all, you remain, not unchanged, but intact. Your essence is not erased. It is transformed. You feel less like an object and more like an impression, a story still being written. You have lost your edges, but not your meaning. You are no longer held together by force, but by presence. You pass near a region where the folds seem to tighten. Everything moves faster there. The space around it is tighter, brighter in energy, not light, but possibility. You drift near, and it feels like memory. You feel the formation of atoms. You feel the collapse of stars. You feel the beginning of things that have not yet begun. It is possible that this is not the end of time, but the middle, that what you are inside is not destruction, but reorganization, a passage rather than a prison. You do not know, but you begin to hope, not because you see something, because you feel the symmetry. This place, for all its silence, does not feel unfinished. You recall what some scientists on Earth imagined, that black holes might connect, that deep inside there could be tunnels, that the center of this place is not an endpoint but a bridge, a wormhole, a way to somewhere else. You cannot see one, but your senses no longer work as they once did. It is possible you're already inside such a crossing. You stretch, not in size but in shape. You are becoming elongated in ways that do not fit human language. Your story is being braided into others. Not lost, interwoven. You feel your thread touch another, a former star, a comet, a piece of radiation from 1,000,000 years ago. You are not alone in here. You are entangled. The space around you narrows again. It is not collapse. It is focus. The threads are aligning. You feel yourself being drawn towards something smaller, tighter, not darker, just simpler. A place where all the complexity of the fall becomes a point that might be a doorway or an origin. There is still no time in the way you once knew it, but there is progression. You are closer, you are deeper, you are arriving at something. The threads around you hum with tension. It is the sound of gravity preparing to change. Then something shifts. You cannot name it, you cannot see it, but the sensation of motion changes. You are no longer falling in, you are being drawn through. There is no jolt, no snap, just a soft rearrangement of sensation. You are within a spiral. Now you are within a thread being pulled. You do not know where it leads, but it does lead. You are not in a loop anymore. You are not cycling inward. You are being carried forward again. And that feeling forward brings something else with it. Memory, not just of the star or the collapse or the explosion, but memory of becoming. You remember the possibility of light. You remember the shape of dust. You remember the promise of warmth, and with that memory, something new unfolds. Something begins to lift, not with force, not with sound, but with suggestion. The dense fabric around you loosens. The spiral stops tightening. Time feels less thick. The pressure you once moved through begins to lighten, not vanish, but stretch. You are being pulled again, but not inward. You are being drawn outward. Something is releasing you. You do not know how long you have been inside. You do not know what hour it is or what century. Inside a black hole, clocks lose meaning, but you feel the shift. The threads you once moved through now flutter. The tunnel of gravity begins to fade into a softer curve. You are rising through something that does not resemble space, but carries you all the same. This is not an explosion. It is not rebirth. It is the echo of evaporation. Hawking radiation, a soft whisper that escapes the surface of the black hole. It carries no memory of shape or form. Just energy, just the essence of mass, returning to the wider universe, one faint particle at a time. The black hole is shrinking. You are part of what it lets go. You drift outward through the last layers of shadow. You are not the same as you were. You are not dust. You are not light. You are something more elusive. An impression, a wave, a memory in motion. You are not escaping. You are being offered. As you move, space begins to return. You feel dimension again. Distance becomes meaningful. You feel time move differently. Not normal, not stable, but clearer. Each second no longer stretches into silence. They form a rhythm again, not steady, but possible. You are being reintroduced to the language of the universe. This journey outward is not fast, it is gradual. It is more like waking than walking. At first there is only sensation, then awareness, then shape, then motion. You are not born again, but you are becoming traceable. The formless is forming. And still the black hole continues to evaporate. It releases its content, not in a burst, but in a sigh. Tiny packets of radiation, barely noticeable on their own. They slip out slowly, carried by quantum uncertainty, by the strange rule that nothing is ever completely sealed. Over time, this quiet release becomes a message, a long goodbye. You are part of that message. What you once were is now encoded in this whisper. The matter that fell inward has become energy that rises outward. You do not remember what you were, not in detail, but you carry the imprint. Your structure holds the echo of collapse, of fire, of form. You are not alone. Other echoes emerge, other ripples, not particles as humans understand them, but results. The black hole lets go slowly, but it does not hold forever. Each release adds to the trail of what once was, a reverse shadow, a record of the void no longer complete. Some of this radiation drifts endlessly. Some of it collides with dust, with gas, with photons, already in motion. Tiny changes ripple outward. The universe adjusts. The balance shifts. Energy is never lost. It only changes roles. You are playing a new one now. As you move further from the black hole, you begin to feel space again. The wide emptiness that holds galaxies and silence. You cannot see them. You are not light, but you are within them. You pass through ancient radiation, through clouds of matter, through slow fields of gravity that hold stars in their arms. And you wonder if any part of you will become form again. If this energy will one day join something larger, a particle, a field, a living thing. You do not wish for it, but the possibility glows within you like a soft current. You have no memory of shape, but you carry the record of process. You are part of a star. You were heat. You were dust. You were the silence after fire. You became mass. You became collapse. You became curve and then drift. And now you are motion once more. Perhaps somewhere in a far galaxy, this motion will slow. Perhaps it will pause within a cloud dense enough to catch it. Perhaps over time, it will add to a greater story, but for now, you are still moving. The path behind you is invisible. The future is not yet a place, only a continuation. You feel the pull of gravity less now. The tension fades. The reach of the black hole grows thin. There is still memory, still connection, but the force is fading. You are far enough now to feel the universe instead of the whole. Behind you, the black hole shrinks. Its mass thins. It does not vanish instantly. It fades, not completely, but close. And with each particle it lets go, with each echo it releases, the whole becomes quieter. You are the echo. You are the record of the fall rising again. And in this rising, you feel the universe receiving you, not actively, not knowingly, but openly. The void does not resist your motion. It allows it. There is space for your return. You do not know what you will become, but you have become something. You are not what fell. You are what comes after. Time has taken you in many directions. It stretched you, slowed you, curled around you. But now, for the first time in what feels like forever, it seems to flow again. It does not move like it did before, but it moves. You feel the direction of time once more, not because you measure it, but because you are no longer lost within it. In this soft return, you notice something else, faint patterns ahead, background radiation, light from the earliest moments of the universe. It drifts around you, old and slow and beautiful. You move through it like a dream gliding through another dream. You are not conscious, not in the way humans understand, but you are aware. And awareness becomes motion, and motion becomes meaning. Perhaps one day, what you carry will become part of a particle. That particle will join others. A field, a force, a cell, a star, perhaps not. Perhaps you will drift as radiation for the life of the universe. But either way, you continue, and you carry with you the memory of collapse. You carry the story of the black hole, the silence, the pressure, the threads of time. And now, you carry release. And with that release, you feel something begin to rise, not in your shape, not in your form, in your potential, in your presence. The universe has remembered you. You are drifting again, not falling now, not spiraling, not rising from collapse, simply moving outward, quietly, slowly, without destination. Space around you is wide and calm. The violence of fusion and the tight curvature of black holes are behind you. The energy you carry is faint but intact. You are a remnant, you are residue, but you are also a seed. Across the galaxy, countless stars have ended their lives. Not all exploded. Some faded gently, some swallowed themselves in silence. Some gave everything in a final burst, but in each case, they left behind fragments. Pieces too small to matter to the structure of stars, too scattered to stay together, but too meaningful to be lost. These are the forgotten children of stars. You are one of them. Not lost, not remembered, not needed. And yet here you are, floating through the quiet dark. The atoms that form you were born in fire. They were part of something vast. Now they travel on their own, tracing arcs between stars, swept by the gentle push of ancient forces. You do not glow, you do not speak, but you persist. There are others, countless others, scattered across spiral arms and halo clouds and dusty reaches between galaxies. Carbon from a red giant, iron from a supernova, ice from the edge of a comet that never formed. You pass each other sometimes, like wind passing wind. You do not touch, but you feel the gravity of presence. Some of you fall into gas clouds and wait. Some are carried by magnetic tides. Some become frozen into comets that orbit quietly for eons. You are the ingredients for something not yet formed. You are the silent code that may one day be read again. Occasionally, you join others, not because you seek it, but because gravity brings you together. A cluster of dust becomes a pebble becomes a rock gathers more until it becomes something that begins to resemble form. Planets may be built this way, or moons, or something unnamed, drifting far from stars, Never heated, never seen. You are not always so lucky. Some remnants remain separate forever, alone pieces of potential. You do not mourn this, you are not aware in that way, but even in silence, you participate. You hold the memory of fusion, of heat, of transformation. You are a carrier of history in elemental form. In some corners of the galaxy, nebulae glow softly, lit by young stars. In those clouds drift the remains of stars long dead, their children, the forgotten particles, slowly drawn together by the weight of memory and time. These clouds swirl for millions of years. In them, the seeds of new stars grow. And sometimes, one of those seeds holds a piece of you. You cannot know it, but your presence matters. Without the dust from older stars, newer stars cannot form planets. Without elements heavier than helium, there is no solid ground, no water, no air. You, in your silence, make life possible. And so, the galaxy is full of ghosts. Ghosts of stars and comets and moons that never were. But these ghosts do not haunt, they build. They shape the future, not through force but through presence, through mass, through memory. You drift near a system forming its first worlds. You feel the pull of gravity, soft but certain. You are caught in the swirl. You begin to spiral inward. Not violently, gently. You are part of a cloud being pulled into a plane. Around you, other remnants gather. The birth of a solar system is beginning. In the dust and gas around you, fusion has not yet begun. But heat builds, pressure tightens. A central mass glows faintly. It will take millions of years, but one day it will shine, and around it, matter will take shape. Disks of dust will flatten, gaps will form, clumps will grow. You are in one of those clumps now, not alone, pressed with others, bound by the slow insistence of gravity. It is not a fast process. But it is certain. You are part of something forming. You may become rock or ice, or part of a body that collides, breaks, reforms. You may become the crust of a planet, or the core of a moon, or a grain of soil on a windless plain. Or you may be cast off again, ejected by a collision, sent drifting once more. But whatever happens, you have changed your role. You are no longer just drifting, you are participating. You are no longer just a child of a forgotten star. You are part of the next generation. And across the galaxy, this is happening everywhere. The children of dead stars gathering, forming new structures. Some of those structures will hold oceans, some will grow atmospheres, some will remain bare, but all of them begin the same way, with dust that was once part of something else. Even if your path leads nowhere, even if you are never part of a planet, even if you remain a speck of carbon, floating in the cold, you are not meaningless. You are continuity. You are the reason the galaxy is not empty. The universe builds slowly. It does not hurry. It does not forget. Every atom matters. Every drift becomes part of the great pattern. And while no star remembers you by name, the galaxies you move through carry your mark. You are ancient, you are unclaimed, you are not seen. But without you, nothing familiar would exist. Without the scattered fragments of the past, there is no future. And so you continue. Whether joined to a planet or moving alone, you continue. You are made from the deep past. You carry stories in your structure. Not written stories, not spoken ones, but stories all the same. Stories told in weight and pattern and motion. You are the stardust of memory. You are the bridge between what once was and what might be. And somewhere ahead of you, a star is beginning to form. The cloud is thick with memory. You drift in a sea of particles, slow and silent. All around you is dust, ash, remnants of long-dead stars. They swirl in spirals pulled by gravity's gentle hand. The edges of this cloud glow faintly. There is no star yet, but the warmth is growing. The silence is no longer empty. It hums with promise. You are part of this. Carbon, oxygen, iron, the leftovers of ancient fusion. You carry the history of many endings. A supernova, a slow collapse, a gentle fade. The particles that were once scattered are beginning to gather. It starts small, just a tightening, a motion towards center. But gravity does not rest. It pulls and pulls. The more matter gathers, the more it draws. You are not falling. You are participating. The cloud is no longer still. Pressure builds, not loud but steady. Somewhere near the center, heat begins to rise. Atoms move faster, collide more often. The first hints of fusion are beginning to flicker, like breath behind a curtain. Stars are not born in explosions. They are born in silence, in compression, in 1,000 soft collisions that produce light, not suddenly, but slowly. The center of your cloud glows faintly, like the memory of fire. It is not yet visible beyond the cloud, but inside the process has begun. You cannot see it, but you feel it. The pull inward grows stronger. You are carried with it. The cloud collapses in layers. Outer shells fall toward the core. Temperature rises. The dark gas glows softly. Particles rub together, generating heat through friction, through pressure, through time. Fusion ignites not with a spark, but with persistence. Hydrogen meets hydrogen and forms helium. Energy is released. Light begins to push outward. A balance starts to form between collapse and radiation, between gravity and heat. This balance is the star's heartbeat. The new star breathes for the first time. You are close to it now, close to the boundary between chaos and structure. The dust around you spins. Some of it will fall into the star. Some will stay in orbit. You remain in that in-between. Not chosen, not left behind. A part of the disk forming around the infant star. The cloud is clearing. The center glows bright enough now to pierce the veil of dust. A new star, burning steadily. Small by cosmic standards. But to you, it is immense. It is young, but already ancient in its fire. You watch as the disk flattens around it. Gas and rock and ice spread into a vast ring. You're caught in that ring. Not as a single atom now, but part of a growing cluster. The dust you joined long ago has gained mass. Gravity holds you together. You are part of a pebble, then a rock, then a larger mass. You feel collisions now, impacts, a shaping. The star brightens slowly, feeding on the hydrogen at its core. It shines with quiet purpose. Its light begins to shape the environment around it. Radiation pushes outward, carving gaps in the disk. The forces at play are subtle but powerful. They mold, they refine. They give form to the remnants of the past. You remain bound in orbit. Around you, other clusters form. Planetesimals, protoplanets, chunks of future landscapes. Some of them grow large enough to clear paths. Others shatter in collisions. All of it is motion, change, becoming. You are part of this. The ash that once floated through empty space now gathers purpose. Your atoms, once scattered by a dying star, now belong to something forming. You are no longer just drifting, you are building. And yet the memory of what came before remains. You do not forget the silence, the compression, the collapse. You do not remember it in the way humans remember, but your structure holds the record. Your presence confirms the process. The young star is steady now. It no longer flickers. Its light reaches outward, strong enough to push back the cloud that birthed it. You see the shape of the system more clearly. Rings, gaps, shadows where future planets might rise. The beginnings of something vast. Around the star, warmth radiates. Some regions remain too hot for ice. Others stay cold, where water can freeze into shape. These zones determine futures. They decide which rocks become dry and which may carry oceans. The temperature gradients are like invisible lines drawing possibilities into space. You are drawn into one of the colder regions, not far from the warmth, but far enough to remain solid. Your body grows as more dust joins you. Your orbit stabilizes. Collisions become less violent, more constructive. The shaping continues. What will you become? A moon, a dwarf planet, a silent rock circling endlessly. It does not matter. You are becoming. That is enough. Other bodies nearby follow their own paths. Some may capture atmospheres. Some may lose them. Some will be scarred by impacts. Some will remain smooth, but all of them carry the legacy of the stars before them. This star, new and bright, does not know you. It burns because it must. It shines without awareness. But through its light you exist. Through its warmth you move. Eventually, the system will settle. Orbits will stabilize. Debris will clear. A calm will arrive, shaped by fire and gravity. You will find your place in that calm. And still, beyond this newborn system, stars continue to die. And others, like this one, begin again. The cycle is never still. There is no final shape, only a continuation. Dust becomes stars. Stars become dust, and from the dust, stars are born again. You are part of that, a piece of the cycle, a quiet echo of something that once burned and fell and returned. You were ash. You were forgotten. You became a whisper in a cloud, and now you are near light again. And ahead of you, in the warmth of a sun that does not yet have a name, life will one day begin. You do not remember where you began, but your body does. Every atom inside you carries a history far older than memory. You are not only alive, you are composed, built from matter that once glowed at the heart of stars, forged in fire, scattered by silence, drawn back into shape. The calcium in your bones once moved through a red giant's final breath. The iron in your blood once lived inside a collapsing core. The oxygen you inhale may have drifted in the nebulae left behind by death. And now these pieces live in you. Not as visitors, as structure, as necessity. You breathe, and in doing so, you touch the past. You exhale, and you share it again. Life does not create matter. It only borrows. It arranges what the stars left behind. Your skin, your lungs, your thoughts, all patterns shaped by elements made far from Earth, long before Earth was real. You are not alone in this inheritance. Every tree, every animal, every pool of water carries the same legacy. Stardust rearranged. Life is the memory of stars made soft and warm and walking. Even the things you build, your tools, your homes, your cities, are extensions of this pattern. Metal and rock once burned like the sun. The connection is quiet, but everywhere. You do not see it when you look in the mirror, but it is there. The light in your eyes is not just reflected sunlight. It is history made visible. The breath you take in was once part of volcanic air, or ocean vapor, or the long exhale of ancient forests. All of it has passed through millions of lives before reaching you. You are not just surrounded by the universe. You are inside it, and it is inside you. The boundary between body and cosmos is thinner than you imagine. You are a breathing constellation, a thinking storm of matter shaped by chance and continuity. You are ancient even in your newness. Children laugh with lungs filled with the same particles that once floated through the arms of a spiral galaxy. The wind that moves through trees once curled past burning stars. The water that touches your skin once cooled the crust of a planet not yet born. You are always connected. Your bones are a quiet archive, not of stories written in words, but in weights and shapes, in densities and vibrations. They remember forces and pressures from other worlds. They hold structure that mirrors the laws of fusion and gravity. You walk not as an accident, but as an echo of cosmic balance. And when you are still, when the room grows quiet, you can feel it, a hum beneath your thoughts, a weight behind your breath, not heavy, not loud, but present, as if your body remembers the stars more clearly than your mind does. You live on a planet that formed from debris, dust pulled together by gravity's patient hand, heated by friction, cooled by time, given oceans by icy comets, given atmosphere by volcanic breath, and given life by the gentle arrangement of carbon and water and light. Every step you take on this planet is a step through memory. Even the silence around you is shaped by stars. The darkness of night is not absence, it is distance, a reminder of how far the light has come. A field of old fires. You look up and see the past. You see stars that may no longer burn, their light still making its journey across time and space. And yet you do not feel old. You do not feel scattered. You feel whole, That is the miracle. The pieces of many deaths have become a life that breathes and thinks and wonders, a life that can imagine the beginning and the end and everything in between. The more you learn about the universe, the more personal it becomes. Not because it was built for you, but because you are built from it. There is no separation. The story of a star is the story of your skin. The collapse of a sun is reflected in your heartbeat. You live by borrowed heat. You are not here by design, but you are not here by accident either. You are here by participation, by alignment. The laws that shape galaxies are the same that shape your cells. The pull that holds the moon to the earth is the same that holds your body to the ground, the same that holds your organs in balance. Even when you feel alone, you are not made of loneliness. You are made of union, of atoms that join together, of forces that held. You are a community of matter. You are a society of cells, each one holding the legacy of life, each one carrying a thread of the universe's story. The idea of stardust is not just poetic. It is factual. It is inescapable. It is comforting, because it means that even in stillness, you are participating. Even in sleep, you are part of the rhythm. Even in silence, you are a song made from ancient light. And one day, like all things, your body will return to the earth. Your atoms will scatter again. They may join the root of a tree, or the curve of a shell, or the wind that brushes against someone's skin 1,000 years from now. You will not vanish. You will only change. That is the great rhythm. Stars die, dust gathers. Planets form, life begins, life ends, dust gathers again. Nothing is wasted, nothing is truly lost. Everything becomes something new. You are not an exception, you are a continuation. So when you look at the night sky, you are not just looking out, you are looking in. You are seeing the things you are made from, the things you will become again. You are seeing versions of yourself, scattered in light, stitched across time. And the universe continues to expand, not with violence, but with invitation. It makes room for more stories, for more shapes, for more lives. And through it all, the bones of stars drift and settle and rise again. And you, for this moment, are the one who breathes them. There will come a time when the stars go dark. Not suddenly, but slowly. One by one, they will exhaust their fuel. Red giants will swell and fade. White dwarfs will cool into black. Neutron stars will spin their last. Even black holes will soften into whispers. The sky will lose its fire. But silence is not absence. Darkness is not forgetting. The universe keeps record not in books, but in curves, in patterns of space and weight and motion. It remembers in the way a coastline remembers every tide, in the way a canyon remembers every drop of rain. It remembers in the folds of time and the stretch of light. You are part of this memory. Every step you have taken, every breath you have shared, has folded gently into the fabric of space. Not as sound, not as light, but as gravity, as geometry. The universe feels you, even after you are still. It remembers your presence by how it had to move around you. Black holes, once feared as ends, become libraries. Each curve of their surface holds the shape of what once was. They do not keep the stories in order, but they do not discard them. And as time continues to stretch, even they will fade, but not without releasing the final whispers of what they held. It takes longer than you can imagine, but the process is certain. A photon released 1 trillion years ago may still be moving. It carries the heat of something long gone, and even if it never touches anything again, it leaves a trace. The universe gathers these traces, not like a hoarder, but like a weaver. It builds from them. Woven light, curved time, folded motion, a quiet quilt of everything that ever was. The atoms that made your body will never disappear. They will shift, sink, rise again. They may rest for eons in stone, then lift into the roots of a tree. They may settle in the ocean, then ride a wave. They may rise as mist, become rain, touch the lips of someone not yet born. You will not know them again, but they will know motion, and motion knows memory. Even gravity remembers. The pull between objects shifts subtly with every change in mass, every rearrangement of distance. You may think you are small, but your mass matters. Your presence presses on space. The shape of your life bends light in ways too soft to measure, but not too soft to matter. You change the dance simply by existing within it. All that you are is stored in motion, in how your hands once lifted, in how your breath once warmed the air, in how your voice once broke the quiet. The universe does not need names. It does not need photographs. It holds you differently, not in image, but in impact. You leave a mark not by carving it, but simply by being here. Galaxies stretch farther apart. Time flows more slowly in some places, faster in others. The expansion continues, not with noise, but with patience. And still, the records remain, invisible but firm. A bend here, a wave there, the shape of what was, the trace of what became. You are not lost in this. You are preserved in its very unfolding. This is the long memory, not the kind that reminds you of birthdays or voices, but the kind that ensures no motion is lost, that no ripple fades completely. The stars that birthed you may cool, but their light has already moved, and once moved, it never unmoves. Once a thing has happened, it joins the eternal structure of what is. Even when you lie still, you are not erased. You are folded into a rhythm that does not stop. Not in the cold of space, not in the collapse of matter, not even in the death of time. Because time itself holds memory, you exist within its folds, tucked into its pages. Entropy increases, order dissolves, but in every shift toward chaos, there is a trail. And though no single mind may follow it, the universe holds it in full. Not as an archive to be read, but as a truth to be carried. Information may stretch, bend, even fade, but it never entirely vanishes. You are part of that truth. You always were, from the moment your atoms were scattered in the death of a star, to the instant they were arranged into thought and feeling, to the silence that will come after. You belong to the sequence. You are the result of what came before, and the cause of what will follow. You may wonder what the end of all things will look like. It may be cold, it may be dark, but it will not be empty. It will be full of everything that ever happened. Not alive in the way you are now, but present, persistent, echoed. Space will stretch, particles will slow, but they will never be nothing. And in that future, long after even thought itself has cooled, your influence remains. Somewhere, a path will still be curved because you once walked it. Somewhere, a molecule will still move differently because you once breathed. Somewhere, the fabric of existence will be slightly altered because of you. You are already sewn in. The universe does not forget, not because it chooses to remember, but because forgetting is not in its nature. Once something has happened, it is written, not in ink, not in code, but in shape, in energy, in the quiet truth of what is. Memory is not stored, it is lived, it is re-echoed. So when your time slows, when your breath deepens, when the world grows quiet around you, you are not fading, you are becoming part of the long stillness, the final stretch of starlight, the softest gravity, the memory that does not end. You are returning to the cycle that carried you here. You have been fire, you have been dust, you have been light and ash and rain. You have been skin and shadow and breath. You have been part of the beginning, and now you are gently folded into the continuation. You are not ending, you are transforming, and when the last echo of the last star hums softly into silence, even then, the memory of motion remains. The fabric is not undone, it simply becomes still. And in that stillness, everything is held. Not perfectly, but entirely. Sleep now, not as forgetting, but as returning. Sleep and become part of the hum that shaped galaxies. Sleep and let the stars hold your name in curves and motion and silence. Sleep because the universe forgets nothing. There are waves in the fabric of space. Not like water, not like air, but like breath moving through a body too vast to see. These waves begin where things collide, where stars crash into each other, where black holes merge, where the universe shudders and cannot remain still. You cannot see these waves, but they move through everything. They stretch time. They press on matter. They pass through you, unnoticed, like wind through a ghost. They are called gravitational waves, messengers not of light, but of motion, not of heat, but of presence. When two massive objects spiral toward each other, the universe ripples. It groans without voice. It hums without sound. You are too small to hear it, but the universe is not deaf. It listens. It keeps the record not with ink or memory, but with stretch and curve. Some of these collisions happened long before Earth existed. Their waves only now touch us. Each one carries the shape of an ending. Each one says, "Here something immense once danced, once fell, once fused, and now it echoes forever." These waves travel undisturbed across billions of light years. They do not dim. They do not scatter. They carry the truth of what happened with a kind of honesty that light cannot hold. Light can be blocked, it can be bent, but gravitational waves go on, changing the distance between atoms as they pass, even if only by the width of a proton. You are not meant to feel them, but they move through you all the same. They pass through your body, through the planet beneath you, through the stars above. And somewhere in a distant laboratory, a beam of light shakes just enough to show that something enormous has happened in the dark. This is the sound of the universe remembering itself. Not through song, but through motion. Not through vision, but through rhythm. It is a heartbeat that outlives the heart. The pulse continues even when the source is long gone. In the beginning, there was motion, expansion, gravity, heat. That first moment gave birth to everything you know. But long after the light from that moment fades, the motion remains. It is in the background hum of existence. It is in the vibration of atoms. It is in the long, slow stretch of galaxies apart from each other. Every massive thing pulls on the space around it. When that thing moves, it creates ripples. Like a dancer turning in a lake of stars, the water never stops moving, even after the dancer has stepped away. This is how the universe keeps its tempo. You may think of stars as fixed, as still, but they are always in motion, always in orbit, always in tension. Their gravity binds them to one another. And when those bonds break, when orbits tighten, when masses collide, the waves begin. They are not fast, but they are relentless. Somewhere, two black holes are circling each other now. They have been circling for millions of years. Closer and closer, their spiral is not quick, but it is final. Each turn tightens the knot, and one day they will meet, not with a crash, but with a merging. Two become one, and the universe flinches just slightly and sends out a pulse. You might think these waves are weak, that they are too small to matter, but their smallness is not weakness. It is precision. It is purity. They are untouched by interference. They are the quiet truth of force, of mass, of time itself being squeezed and released. In the laboratories that measure them, silence is sacred. Instruments rest on stillness, more delicate than sleep. They wait for movements, too subtle for muscle or eye. And when they come, scientists listen like monks, not to find answers, but to witness the echo, to hear a whisper from a million galaxies away. This is not just physics, this is memory in motion. These waves tell us where things have been, what they have done, and how they have changed the universe around them. You are not hearing their voice, you are feeling their presence. If a tree falls and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? If two black holes merge in the emptiness of space, does it matter? The answer is yes, because the ripple is real, because time itself bends to the motion, and space responds. Even before we could measure them, these waves passed through everything. They slipped through planets, stars and lungs alike. They did not need to be noticed to be true. Now that we hear them, we are only learning what has always been happening. The universe speaks in waves. We are just learning to listen. You may wonder how long these waves last. The answer is longer than you can imagine. Once created, they keep going. There is nothing to stop them. No friction in space, no resistance, just a clean ripple across eternity. The universe is not just made of particles. It is also made of pattern, of repetition, of rhythm. Some collisions create bursts of energy, others leave behind only silence, but all of them leave motion. You cannot go back to the moment, but you can feel its fingerprint. You can witness the ripple it left in the fabric of all things. Just as stones once dropped in rivers leave long trails of change, these cosmic events reshape the flow of time. You may never feel it in your chest, but somewhere, something is slightly closer, or slightly farther, or moving just a bit differently, because something danced and fell far away. What began as a death becomes a memory. What ended in collapse becomes a mark on the canvas of space. And what seemed like an ending becomes a rhythm. Even in darkness, the music continues. You are part of that music. Your atoms respond to gravity. Your molecules shift with time. You may be small, but you are never separate. You are shaped by waves older than your world, older than your sun, and perhaps in time you will shape new ones. It is strange to think that silence can be a song. That emptiness can contain motion. But this is the lesson of gravitational waves. They are not noise, they are shape. They are reminders that even in stillness, something has moved, something has changed. In the deep future, when light itself fades, when stars no longer burn, when black holes have softened into dust, there will still be waves, weak and slow, but honest. They will carry the last memories of the last collisions. They will whisper, "There was once something beautiful here." And when they pass through the last remnants of a universe grown cold, they will not ask to be seen. They will not ask to be understood. They will simply move, as they always have. You do not need to be loud to last. You do not need to burn to leave warmth. You only need to move with meaning, to press gently on the space around you, to let your gravity sing even after you are gone. And so, as you drift into stillness, know this: somewhere, the fabric of the cosmos still trembles. Not with fear, not with pain, but with the memory of motion, the song of mass, the soft echo of what once was. The pulse outlives the flame. The wave outlives the light. You are part of the rhythm now. Sleep and let the waves carry you. The sky is not empty, even in its loneliest corners. There are planets with no suns, stars with no companions, bodies adrift, unbound, forgotten. They wander through the darkness without orbit, without warmth, without name. They are the orphans of the cosmos. You may imagine the universe as a place of order, stars spinning with planets around them, galaxies arranged like spirals, everything balanced in rhythm. But the truth is more scattered, more restless. For every system that remains, others have broken. For every sun that holds its family close, another has let go. Some planets are born without stars, others are cast away by violence. A passing giant, a collision, a near miss, any of these can send a world drifting. No longer bound by gravity's gentle leash, they are flung outward, into night without end. They carry their histories silently, cradling whatever remains of heat within. These rogue planets do not glow, they do not shine, they are nearly invisible, hiding in the shadow between stars. But they are not rare. They may outnumber the stars themselves, a hidden majority, an unseen presence that glides in the dark, untouched and unnoticed. They move slowly, pulled only by the soft tides of galactic gravity. They do not orbit, but they drift. Some will pass close to suns, bending slightly in their presence. Others will fall into black holes, swallowed without light. Most will continue on, uninterrupted, like dreams that never wake. And yet they are still planets. They have cores and crusts. Some may still hold atmospheres. Some may even hold oceans, locked beneath layers of ice, warmed by inner heat. Life might exist there, huddled in the dark, never knowing the stars. Not all life needs sunlight. Some only need warmth and time. The Earth has known orphans, asteroids that wander alone, comets that loop in and vanish again, even moons that seem out of place. Space is not a closed system. It loses and finds things. It creates and it casts away. There is no cruelty in this, only motion. You might think of these orphans as tragedies, worlds lost, forgotten, But there is another way to see them, not as abandoned, but as free, not as broken, but as unbound. They are stories still in motion, and the universe still listens. Somewhere, a planet spins in darkness, its surface frozen, its winds silent. Beneath the crust, heat bubbles up from a molten heart. There may be water. There may be chemistry. There may even be memory. The seeds of life do not always need light. They need shelter, they need time, and they need peace. We once believed that life needed a sun, that warmth must come from above. But deep within Earth, life thrives without sunlight. Around hydrothermal vents, entire ecosystems flourish on heat and minerals. If life can do that here, why not elsewhere? Why not on a world where the sun never rose? These orphaned worlds may carry life like a secret, protected, hidden, traveling silently through the ages. Life that has never seen stars, life that has never known sky. A kind of existence shaped not by day and night, but by pressure and time. Some planets may have once had light. They may have been born into systems, orbiting bright stars. But over time, things changed. A nearby star exploded. A passing giant disrupted the balance. Their orbits stretched and broke, and they were cast off, alone, but still spinning, still whole. This loneliness is not emptiness, it is potential. It is the space in which something new might begin. A planet in darkness still has gravity, still has shape, still holds possibilities. The universe does not erase, it transforms. You can imagine them out there. A quiet procession of lost worlds, each one turning slowly, each one with a story it cannot tell. They do not seek a home. They are homes for possibilities, for silence, for something not yet known. They are not broken pieces. They are whole, just unaccompanied. They are not waiting. They are existing. And in their quiet, the universe reflects. It is not only planets. Stars too can become orphans. Some are thrown out of galaxies at incredible speeds. Some drift at the edge of nothing, far from any gravitational pull. They shine alone, lighting nothing but the space around themselves. Some stars are born alone, some live alone, others begin in families and end alone. Just like planets, just like people, the cosmos is full of such parallels, full of things that move together, then apart. Galaxies themselves can be orphaned, dwarfs stripped of stars, remnants left behind after collisions, whole clusters lost in the vast space between larger structures. Isolation happens on every scale, but isolation does not mean insignificance. These loners still have mass, they still have pull, they still shape the path of nearby objects, their gravity still works, they still belong to the architecture of the universe. You too are part of that structure, even in your quietest moments, even when you feel adrift. Your presence bends space, your mass holds meaning. You may not always feel connected, but connection is not always visible. It is felt through gravity, through memory, through the ripple you leave behind. Some orphaned worlds will never be found. They will move forever through space, untouched. But others may be seen, by telescopes, by future explorers, by civilizations not yet imagined. They may be mapped, named, studied, not as lost things, but as strange gifts. To drift does not mean to be lost. To float without orbit does not mean to be forgotten. Even without a star, a world can shine in its own way. Through mystery, through endurance, through possibility, the universe is wide, too wide to be only made of systems and centers. It needs its wanderers, its edge-dwellers, its wayward bodies that remind us that not everything follows the same path, that not everything needs to revolve to matter. We used to think that to be stable was to be safe, that orbit was everything. But now we know that even what drifts has value, even what seems alone contributes to the balance of all things. The sky is full of orphans, but they are not empty. They are full of stories waiting to be heard, full of questions waiting to be asked, full of silence that speaks, if you know how to listen. Somewhere tonight, an invisible world turns, cold, quiet, complete. It does not know you are thinking of it, but your thought reaches it anyway. Through curiosity, through wonder, through the quiet pull of attention. Not all light needs to shine, not all warmth needs to burn. Some things just need to endure, to continue. To exist without needing to be seen, you are not unlike them. You carry your own orbit, your own path, sometimes connected, sometimes not, but always moving, always mattering. You may feel unmoored, but you are still part of the map. The universe remembers even its wanderers, especially its wanderers, for they are the ones who show us how far gravity can reach, how long memory can last, how silence too can speak. As you close your eyes, imagine a world turning in the dark, alone but not lost, quiet but not empty, a sky full of orphans, and everyone still held by the fabric of space, still heard by the hush of time. Sleep now, and drift with them. Let their slow motion carry you beyond stars, into the places that do not shine, but still belong. Light is always leaving. From every star, every spark, every flame it travels outward, patient and silent. Some of it reaches eyes, some of it touches dust, but much of it keeps going, forever unreceived. It crosses the cosmos with no destination, no witness, no name. You might think of light as quick, as eager, but in the scale of space, even light is slow. A beam from a distant galaxy might take billions of years to arrive. And if no one waits for it, if no one catches it, it still travels. Because that is what light does. It moves, it remembers. Some light was born when the first stars lit the dark. Ancient photons still drift across the emptiness, their energy stretched and cooled by time itself. They are not in a hurry. They do not demand to be seen. They are content to exist. There are entire galaxies whose light will never reach us. They are moving away too quickly, carried on the tide of the expanding universe. The distance grows faster than the light can catch up. It is not because they are hiding. It is because space itself is stretching. This is called redshift. As space expands, the wavelengths of light grow longer. What was once ultraviolet becomes visible. What was once visible becomes infrared. What was once bright fades into the invisible. Until finally some light stretches beyond detection. It is not gone. It is simply lost to us. And still, it travels. Across distances so large that meaning begins to blur. Across time so long that entire civilizations could rise and fall before it brushes past a planet. Much of it never will. It will keep going, always just beyond the edge of attention. There are photons that left stars that no longer exist. Their source burned out billions of years ago, but the light still moves. This is what it means to echo in space, to send something outward that continues long after you stop. Somewhere, right now, a single photon is crossing a void 10 million light years wide. It has never been touched. It will never be absorbed. It has passed every galaxy, every dust cloud, every orbit, without interference. It does not falter, it does not fade, it simply continues. This light is not wasted, it is not lonely, it is not incomplete because no one sees it. It carries energy, it carries information, it carries the fingerprint of the place it came from. That fingerprint floats forever, printed on nothing, but real all the same. It is tempting to think of light as needing a receiver, a final stop. But most light is never seen. It scatters, it reflects, it vanishes into surfaces, or slips through unnoticed. Yet we still call it light. We still know that it matters, because even when it isn't caught, it continues. Not all light reaches its destination. Some is swallowed by black holes. Some is diffused into fog. Some collides with particles and changes path. But even those paths matter. Even those detours shape the history of the universe. There are lights on Earth right now, from stars that have already died. They shine as if nothing has changed, but they are the lingering image of a past event. In the sky, the past is always visible. The present is too fast for light to keep up. You're always seeing what was, never what is. Even moonlight is delayed by a moment. Even sunlight carries a pause. The stars overhead are full of messages from other times. Some are older than humanity, some are older than Earth. This delay is not a flaw. It is a gift. It means the universe carries its memory with it. Not in books, not in thoughts, but in beams of energy moving ever outward, slow and soft and constant. A library written in light. Some stars are too faint. Their light never reaches us. Others are blocked. Their path interrupted by dust or distance. But that does not mean their light is lost. It still exists. It still travels. It may just never meet us. And there is light traveling now that never will. Light from galaxies so far away that we will never catch up. Not even with our fastest ships. Not even with our best ideas. The universe is expanding too quickly. Those galaxies are retreating faster than their light can arrive. This is called the cosmological horizon. Beyond it, events still happen. Stars still burn, planets still orbit, but we will never know. Their light is moving toward us, but space stretches the distance faster. We are not being left behind. We are simply part of the same fabric, stretching together. You may wonder if this light matters, if no one will ever see it, but it does, because existence does not require observation. Reality does not depend on being noticed. Light is still light, even in silence. Imagine holding a candle in a field. You see the flame, you feel its warmth. But after you walk away, the light still goes on. It touches trees, it strikes leaves, it scatters through air. It does not need an eye to be real. The same is true for starlight. Most of it never touches anything, but it still tells a story. It still brings a piece of its origin with it, even as it changes, even as it fades. You may wonder how far light can go. The answer is infinite, unless something stops it. And few things in space stop light, so it continues. Through the ages, across the void, it becomes older, cooler, fainter, but still it moves. There is something beautiful in this. A kind of quiet determination. A photon does not choose its journey, but it stays on it. No matter how long, no matter how empty the path, it is a lesson in persistence, in endurance without expectation. In this way, light resembles thought. A single idea can leave you, spoken or written or imagined. It travels, it touches, it changes others, and sometimes it goes on long after you forget it. You may never know who receives it, but that doesn't make it vanish. Some light is trapped in glass, bent in water, reflected off ice. Some light becomes heat, some light becomes shadow, but all of it begins the same way, as release, as energy set free, and all of it continues, even when unseen. Think of this as you sleep, that every night your body is touched by ancient light, some of it from stars, some of it from galaxies, some of it from the afterglow of the Big Bang itself. You are wrapped in light that began long before you, and though your eyes may close, the light continues, passing through, passing by, not asking to be held, just offering presence, just reminding the world that it has not forgotten to shine. In the deep future, much of this light will become impossible to detect. It will be stretched beyond visibility. The stars we see now will fade from view. The sky will grow dim, but light will still move. It will still exist, even if no one remembers where it came from. The last stars will go out, the last planets will freeze, but the last photons will keep moving. They will whisper stories across a darkened stage, never heard but never lost. So as you lie here now, remember this. You are surrounded by light. Some of it is yours, reflected from your skin, from your breath. You leave light behind you everywhere you go. You add to the story of the universe. Not all light needs to be seen. Some of it simply needs to be, to move forward, to drift freely, to exist without needing applause. And in doing so, it becomes part of everything. Let yourself be like that. Let your presence move gently. Let your light continue, even when no one is looking. Let your quiet be enough. The universe is full of light that will never be seen, and still it shines. The stars have quieted, the story has slowed, and now, in the hush that follows wonder, your mind can soften. You've drifted through dying suns, through wandering planets, through the silence of unseen light. You've touched the edges of time, followed echoes through space, and felt the pulse of a universe that never forgets. Though the chapter has closed, the journey continues. Every breath you take still carries atoms once born in the heart of a star. Every heartbeat is part of a rhythm older than Earth. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are made of it, held by it, remembered by it. Sleep now gently. Let your thoughts dissolve like light fading into fog. Let go of questions. Let go of clocks. There is nothing more to do. You've wandered far enough tonight. And if you wake again before morning, know that the stars still turn, that gravity still holds you, that silence still listens. You are not alone, even in darkness. Thank you for being here, for dreaming with the universe. Good night, sleep well, and may your rest be full of light that never had to be seen.